Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Chin-Quee Chats, the bite-sized podcast where we talk movies, sports, and everything in between. I'm your host, Matthew Chin-Quee, and I'm back from a quick break because I got lazy. And there wasn't really much to talk about last week, so I had to take you know what? I don't really have a good excuse. It just didn't happen. But this week, I do have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I have more stuff than I actually have time for. For once, the free chat might actually be more packed than the cinema chat segment, even though the cinema chat segment is probably going to be good. Judging by the title, you already know it's my Black Panther review. The Black Panther just came out this past weekend. I'm recording this on Tuesday. It's going to be released hopefully on Wednesday because I'm at home and the internet takes about 3 years to load a single picture. So a grain of salt has to be taken with the uploading time here. But yeah, Black Panther just came out. I really want to talk about that because, spoiler alert, I loved it. And then in the free chat segment, we are more than a week into the Olympics, and remember how a few weeks ago I said I love the Olympics? Well, we're in the full swing of it, and I have full-on Olympic fever. So we'll get to talking about that and how my beloved Canadian teams are doing. But for now, let's get right into the cinema chat. And we are back for the cinema chat segment. I always say we, and most of the time it's just me, so I don't really know who we is. But anyways, I'm back for the cinema chat segment, and this week I'm going to be talking about Black Panther. This movie has been highly anticipated. You heard Vlad on a couple weeks ago talking about how much he loves this movie, and I saw it twice this week. I saw it twice in 24 hours, and Vlad, I think he saw it like 4 or 5 times or something like that, which is nuts. But it's a great movie. It is incredible, and right off the top, I'm going to start right off the top. I've sat on it for a little while, and I think that it is indeed my second favorite Marvel MCU film of all time, right behind Winter Soldier. So this isn't your normal Marvel fare where many people, the minute they see another Marvel film, it's the best one. It's the best one yet. It's the best one yet. This one really is almost the best one yet. There are little things here and there that I caught the second time, but I actually really don't want to get into the negatives in this review, mostly because I want to dedicate a lot of time to the free chat segment because Olympics. So I really am just going to focus on probably my big three. This is us reference. My big three positives. So right off the top, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about probably the biggest positive of this entire film, and that's the villain. And that's something really strange for me to say because Marvel has struggled with their villains a lot. Over the past year, I'd say they haven't. They've really stepped up their game with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I wasn't the biggest fan of the movie, but Ego is, in my opinion, he's an excellent villain. There's a great twist in there. Sorry if I spoiled it. Ego is the villain. Peter Quill's dad is a bad guy. He's great. And then in Spider-Man Homecoming, you can go back to my fourth or fifth episode, I believe. You can see how much I love the Vulture, and ironically, he's another dad. He's just the dad of the love interest of Spider-Man. Oh, another twist, another spoiler. So over the past year, Marvel has really stepped up their villain game. Thor Ragnarok did come out. That's all I'm gonna say. But those past two villains, those have been really great. And with Black Panther, they've stepped it up to a whole other level. Michael B. Jordan is one of the finest actors working today. He's one of my favorite actors, and my God, his hair is incredible in this movie. I remember when I was watching the trailers, and I saw that in the second trailer, I believe, it showed that he was going to be wearing a Black Panther suit, and immediately my heart sank because it reminds me of Yellow Jacket or Ironmonger, I think is what his name is in Iron Man 1, or even Whiplash, and it's just the evil, quote unquote, evil version of the hero, and that's the villain. And that's all it is. It's a surface villain, is what we've got a lot from from Marvel. And admittedly, I think that even Kevin Feige, or I mean, I don't pretend to know Kevin Feige's motivations or intents behind the films, but I'd assume, from what I've seen from the films prior to the past 3 or so, that they really want to focus on the heroes, because Marvel is very hero-centric. This MCU brand is very hero-centric. It relies on the heroes. So that's why they really only use the villains as a platform for the heroes, because they don't want them to be overshadowed. And that's fair. That's completely fair. However, that also leads to villains that are just ultimately very forgettable. I mean, I can't even remember the villain's name. I mean, it's Obadiah Stane, I think, but in the first Iron Man, but I don't remember, his name or really what he wanted. Whereas Black Panther or someone like Ego or Vulture, I do understand, because the villains are so fleshed out, and Black Panther, Eric Killmonger especially, with Michael B. Jordan's performance. From the very opening scene where he's staking out a museum, and this is going to be a spoiler review. Sorry about that. I'll write that in the description. From the very beginning, where he's staking out the museum to his death, where he has one of the best closing lines I've ever seen. Like, throw me in the ocean, because my ancestors, they knew it was better to die or drown than be in chains. That is some powerful stuff, and I think this is an MCU first. Maybe in Winter Soldier you get that with kind of government corruption, but this may be an MCU first, where this Marvel film, which is supposed to be a blockbuster, supposed to be a popcorn film, you get a message that really has some real world implications. It really is trying to not really preach, because preach kind of has negative connotations, but it's trying to say something. It's trying to reflect upon the world that we live in. And I'm seeing a lot of debate with people online whether Killmonger was right in trying to unite all the African Americans against their enemy, against people who have oppressed them. And I will say this: in principle, I think that Killmonger was right. I believe that not only just African Americans, all minorities, or all people who have been oppressed, they don't even have to be minorities. They should have the right to stand together and fight back. However, I believe that his motivations were, or his methods were way off base. The moment you're killing people and taking over a country, and of course this is all fictional, but the principle still stands. The way he went about it was absolutely evil, and that's why he's a great villain, because his counterpart T'Challa, he actually agrees with Killmonger, and I think that the best villains are. So some of the best villains, there's very different types of villains. There's like pure chaos villains, or there's this type of villain where you can see the hero reflected in them. They're one step away. T'Challa could be one step away. I mean, he was debating it with I forget Lupita Nyong'o's character off the top of my head right now. Like, he was debating what Killmonger's philosophies even before he knew Killmonger existed. He was debating that at the beginning of the movie. He has felt conflicted on whether he should help people or not, and help spread Wakandans' wealth and technology and knowledge all over the world. And when you can understand where a villain is coming from because you've seen it in the hero, I think that's some powerful stuff, and I think that's a great villain. Second, I kind of want to go really film nerdy for a second and just talk about the technical aspects of this film. Other than some shoddy CGI, some green screen that doesn't exactly work, there's the scene where Killmonger and T'Challa are fighting on they're fighting by the waterfall. That's some very obvious CGI. The rhinos, which are cool, I think you can tell a little bit that obviously they're CGI, but you can really tell there. But other than that, I think this film is technically brilliant. With the MCU, a lot of the times they've had this weird. There's a good video on it. I think Nerdwriter did it, where the MCU's colors are tinted. They're a little grayer, and it looks a little washed out when you see that compared to real life, or you see that compared to really any other film. It's the way they shoot the films, and now I don't pretend to know the various cameras or techniques that goes into filming. But all I know is that Marvel had done that with many of their films. I just rewatched Civil War yesterday just because I wanted to watch more of T'Challa in action, and it really showed. However, in Black Panther, that is not there. This is a vibrant, colorful movie. Not to say that the other films haven't been colorful, but they had that kind of MCU tint on it. There's nowhere to be seen there. The cinematography is excellent. There's so many cool shots. The action is great. The action is up there with the choreography in Winter Soldier. I mean, I'm personally not a big fan of car chase scenes, but the car chase scene in Black Panther is breathtaking. The way the way they use the access of Wakandan technology and how creative they get with their fight scenes, even at the end with the shield caves, which when I first saw it, I was my breath taken away. I was sitting there, I was like, oh, so that's why they've been wearing the capes this time. And everything about that entire last fight scene was crazy. Or to even Killmonger's vicious fighting style, the way he holds nothing back, or every time you see him strike, you see all that pain, that anguish, and you feel it because you did get that. You did get that background. You did get that understanding of why he is who he is. But I'm kind of going back to the Killmonger thing. Technical wise, the music is incredible. Ludwig Göransson, who always works with the director Ryan Coogler, delivers yet another incredible score for Ryan Coogler's films. There are certain scenes where just the music alone will swell you up with emotion. When T'Challa goes to the ancestral plane, it's just that music, or even the drums in the fight scenes. It's all really incredible. I'm gonna definitely have this soundtrack on repeat when I'm writing or studying or something like that. It's really great and really feels authentic. Not that I really am an expert or whatsoever on that sort of thing, but it does feel authentic. It doesn't. I think you can really tell when something's fake or something is really trying to represent a culture. And this one, it doesn't feel. It feels natural. And finally, I want to talk about the supporting characters, whether that be Shuri or Okoye, I think, which is Denai Guerrero's character. And then I still honestly can't remember off the top of my head. I know I'm going to kick myself for this later when I search it up, but Lupita Nyong'o's character. There has been a lot of talk in the film industry lately of, making strong, powerful women. And there has also been a lot of talk on the other side of, for lack of a better phrase, for affirmative action, or really trying to over adjust, with, you got those occasions or those accusations with the Ghostbusters remake, or right now Ocean's 8, where they're just taking females and just throwing them into lead roles just because, right? They don't have the lead roles, but women play such a powerful part in this film, and it doesn't feel forced at all. Not that I actually don't think that the Ghostbusters and the Ocean's 8 really feel forced, but I don't think that even if you were against that, I don't even think that you can make the argument that this feels forced, because these women within this culture, they are leaders, they are powerful. Right, they hold positions of power, and they hold positions of respect. I mean, the honor guard, they're all women. For arguably the most powerful warrior in the entire nation, for the Black Panther, for T'Challa, or for whoever holds that position, and they have some of the funniest lines. Shuri has some of the funniest lines. I love that. You guys know me. I love a good sibling relationship, and the brother-sister relationship. Just the one scene in the lab where it's just joke after joke after joke, and the jokes land. They don't feel like unnecessary quips in battle or banter just to break tension. This feels like something that my brothers and I would talk about. I mean, you have her filming T'Challa while he is practicing with his dummies or with the suit, and or you even have the joke that may not have landed for some people, but I say you gotta get with the old and get with the new times or something. Old people, I don't know. The what are those meme? I laughed out loud, and my entire theater. In my first screening, which is filled with a lot of younger people, laughed out loud because it is in line with something that Shuri, a 16-year-old uh, girl who's living in a very technologically powerful nation, who obviously has access to the outside world, the internet and whatnot. It falls in line with something that that's people those age would do, and I found it really funny. That lab scene was the funniest or the hardest I've laughed in a while in a movie theater, because it's just joke after joke after joke, and they all land, and it's all natural, and it doesn't cut the tension, right? And which is something that I've had a huge problem with the MCU, is that they use jokes to cut the tension. That didn't happen too often. It happened a couple times, in the chase scene with Quay and Lupita Nyong'o's character Nakia. That's her name, Nakia. When the car gets broken, but it's here and there, and if it's not too much, I don't mind. I really don't. One other quick note: I did say that I was gonna only address the big three. Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, he is great in this film, but this also may be one of the drawbacks of having such great side characters and such great villains, is that the hero doesn't get to stand as much, and that's not necessarily a shot at Chadwick Boseman or his character, or even the writing of his character. The character's written well. He goes on this journey of conflict, of trying to live up to his father, and then realizing that his father may not be the person that he thought he was. And while this sounds kind of cliche, or this sounds done before, it's all in the execution, the way it's done. And I got to give my hats off to Chadwick Boseman, because he is a great actor, and in this movie he pulls off the Wakandan accent, which is kind of a mix from what I've heard of the African click language, or one of the African click languages, which I'm not even gonna try to pronounce because it's probably gonna sound awful. But it's kind of a mix of that and some Kenyan accent, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember exactly where I read that from, but he is very consistent in this film with his performance. The thing is, though, when you have the villains and you have the characters that are really fleshed out so well, the hero kind of has to take a step back, and he doesn't shine as much. And that's not a fault of the movie or anything. Well, I guess inherently it is a fault of the writing, but it's not a fault of Chadwick Boseman at all, because he's great, but he just doesn't shine as much. And I don't even necessarily think that's a negative, because I still loved him in the film, and I still loved what he did and the journey he took. But that's just one small little note. Anyways, that is my Black Panther Big 3 review. I think I might keep this method for from here on in, whether that be if it's a bad film, big negative 3, or big positive, or even a mix of both in the future. I think this is a good thing that I really did not plan. I thought of it off the top of my head. So hopefully this is something cool that I can start moving forward, if I even remember to do it next time I have a review. But yeah, I'm gonna cut this cinema chat segment short, because I have a lot of Olympics to talk about, a lot of things to recap, because it's been, I think we're on day 10 now, and there's only 5 days left, and I'm already sad about that. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back to talk about the 5 rings, not Lord of the Rings.
Such a perfect place.
And we are back to talk about the Olympics with that incredible Moulin Rouge track, and that is going to make sense. I promise it is going to relate back to the Olympics. If you guys even follow me on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I want to start back way from the very beginning of the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympics. My love for the Olympics, not even just winter, summer, winter, I don't care. I love them. Paralympics even, I watch that too, because I wanna feel that feeling. I don't think that there's any other feeling like watching the Olympics, like having uh, that swell of patriotism and love for the country and people who represent your country, people you may not even remember in 2 weeks, people who you haven't even heard of in sports that you haven't even heard of, sports that you knew nothing about. When you're in the Olympics, everybody gets together. There's so many people who, did you see the game last night? Did you see that match? Did you see that we won another gold? People are talking about it. And I love the way that the Olympics bring people together. And I love the way that Canada competes in our Winter Olympics. The Summer Olympics, we're not so good at it, and I kind of love being kind of the adorable underdog when we get a gold or even get a medal at all in the Summer Olympics. I really feel also that the sense of pride because I know that they aren't a dime a dozen like they are in winter, and that's not to detract from the efforts that the Canadian athletes put in the Winter Olympics. But we are obviously much better at the Winter Olympics because we are a cold nation, we are a winter nation, and the summer. When we get those medals, I think they feel like they mean a lot more because we don't get as many. However, we're in the Winter Olympics, and I want to go through the 8 golds that we currently have, kind of recap those. That's not to say that the other 11 other medals that we currently have, whether that be the 5 silvers or the 6 bronzes, are in any way, shape, or form less. But I do have a time limit. And I mean, I've set myself this time limit, but I could go on. I can do an entire podcast right now on the Olympics, but that would only be like a 2-week podcast. I could do one recapping every day, and I would if I could, but life gets in the way. Jeff Goldblum said that life finds a way, but this is a stupid joke. I'm not going there. But let's start at the beginning. I think our first gold was the team dance, team figure skating, and that was almost at the very beginning of the Olympics. You have the best skaters that we have. There's the men's singles, the female singles, and then there's the pairs, and then there's the ice dancing. My favorite, the ice dancing. All of a sudden, in the past 2 weeks, I've become an ice dancing fanatic. I've become an ice dancing expert to the point where I was actually kind of salty last night, but we'll get to that eventually. We won a gold in that thanks to the effort of some of our best skaters. You have the Canadian icon Patrick Chan, who's been hyped up for so many years, and I feel bad for him because he has delivered on the world stage in the World Championships and the Grand Prix. I don't know if there's a Grand Prix. In the other events that aren't the Olympics, and every Olympics he seems to. From what I've seen in 2010 and 2014, he hasn't been at his best. He's made mistakes here and there, and in the team event, he delivered, and he really showed that he could compete at this high level and could compete under pressure. So well done to him. You have Gabrielle Delman, who she was the one who actually clinched the gold for us. I mean, we clinched the gold in points before we had even fielded our last skaters. That's how good this team was. And you had Megan Dumel and Eric Radford, our pairs. There's a name, Caitlin Osmond here, who I actually really don't know because I didn't see that, but I'm sure she helped in some way. And then we have my favorites at the end, Tessa Virtue, Scott Moyer. They are incredible, man. There's not too many. It's hard to quantify how much pride they've given me. If you check on Twitter, I've been standing over them for a while. When I see these two skate, and I may as well address this too, they just won a gold in ice dancing against their rivals over the past year from France, and they won by like 0.76 points, which is not a lot of points, and they set a world record. It was a very stressful night last night, but when I watch Tessa and Scott dance, it is something else. You don't have to be an expert in ice dance. You don't have to be an expert in skating at all. All you have to be is someone with emotions. You see them dance, and you can see the raw emotion, the chemistry off of them. There is no other team, no matter how good the other teams are. The French team, they're an excellent team. Their routines are great. But when you see Tessa and Scott dance, it's on another level. You can tell that these two trust each other and love each other with everything, whether that love is romantic love or platonic love. Nobody really knows, but when you watch them skate, you turn, no matter who you are, you could be a 70-year-old man, right? 70-year-old grumpiest man, and you will turn into a 15-year-old girl, because when you see them together and realize that they're not actually a couple, you turn into the world's biggest shipper. You've seen Twitter yesterday, Virtue Moyer and Tessa and Scott and ice dancing were all trending worldwide on Twitter, and everybody, not even just Canadians, everyone's like, why aren't these people together? Just get together, because Tessa and Scott are a perfect couple. And they are the perfect dancers. And last night, they did their Moulin Rouge routine again, which they did in the team dance, although we had already clinched at that point, so it was really just a victory lap. Last night, they put everything on the line. This was their last dance of their 20-year career. They had danced for 20 years together. Hell, I'm 21. They have danced for almost as long as I've been alive. They've been dancing since they were 7 and 9, which is absolutely astounding. And they all capped it off last night. When they went on to the ice, the French had put up a world record score. Tess and Scott needed to beat their own personal best by 3 points, which is a heavy feat, and they put it all on the line, and it is really just a storybook ending for the two of them. The only thing that would have made it better is if Scott proposed to Tess at the end, but we know that didn't happen. We're still praying, we're still hoping that it'll happen. But these two, I tweeted out last night that these two make me so proud to be Canadian, not even just because of their chemistry and their perfection on the ice. It's the sense of patriotism that they encompass, that the entire Olympics encompass, and the spotlight that it sheds to Canada, and really shows that what we can do as a country, and that we're not just some small, well, I mean, we're the second biggest country, but we don't have the biggest population. We're not USA's hat. We're not America's hat. We are more than that. And I mean, I love my country, right? I don't really know what to say from here. I kind of lost my train of thought just getting so patriotic. I almost paused it, but I feel like I should keep going. Yeah, Tessa and Scott, they clinched 2 golds for us, right? They are incredible, and they do have a hometown connection. They did actually live in my home city of Waterloo, and they practiced here. I was thinking about this last night after they skated. I think that I may have actually shared the ice with them at one point. I was doing figure skating lessons when I was a kid just to kind of learn how to skate, and I'm pretty sure they were training in that rink at that time, so I don't mean to be to brag, but I've shared the ice with them, so I'm cool. I've talked enough about Tess and Scott. I could talk again. You know how I could do an entire Olympic podcast? I can do an episode on these people, just about their careers and what they've done. And hopefully this time I won't forget that they exist after, because they're done and they won't be coming back for another Olympics. Hopefully, fingers crossed they will, but they might be a little bit old for that. But hopefully they do come back in some way, shape, or form, so I don't forget about them like I forget about all the other athletes. Talking about other athletes, let's go to freestyle skiing, where we also have 2 golds. Last night we won a gold with Cassie Sharp, who did the ladies halfpipe, and she killed it. From the very first run, she was in first, and she did not let go. Her first run scored 94 point something points, and I think that's out of 100, which is a massive total. For even her first run, and many people use their first run as a warm-up, or maybe people fall, they're just trying to test the waters, because you get 3 runs in ladies halfpipe, or in the halfpipe in total. You get 3 runs to do your best tricks and get the best score, and she won on that first run. I mean, she on her second run, she actually increased her score, and on the third run, she was kind of just goofing around because she knew she had won, and she fell, and she was like, okay, well, I'm done. But she blew everyone out of the water, which also makes me really proud, because Canadians are the best, man, right? And then we have Mikael Kingsbury, who won gold in moguls. Now, the past two Olympics, we've had Alexandre Bilodeau. He won the first. He won the first gold on Canadian soil in men's moguls in 2010, Vancouver 2010, 2014. He repeated, and Kingsbury has always kind of been in Bilodeau's shadow. Even though Kingsbury, from just the various research I've done, I actually don't really follow, like many of these sports, actually all these sports, I don't follow outside of the Olympics, so I have to do all my research then, and within 5 minutes I've suddenly become some expert. Kingsbury, apparently he has won almost every single title in moguls except the Olympic gold, and he finally can add that to his shelf. So really proud of him of clinching that gold early. It was really early in the Olympics. Short track speed skating, we have Sam Girard, who did the men's 1000 meter, and he is really young, which also makes me really happy because that means he has potential for more golds in the future. If he's getting golds at this young age, I'm pretty sure he's 20 or 21 in short track. I'm not going to pretend like I know much. All I know is that the short track is a smaller track, which means that they go around a lot more times, and they also run into each other. There's a lot more collisions in short track. I don't even think there's potential of collisions in long track speed skating. So it's 1,000 meters, you go around like 6 or 7 laps, something like that. And he was great. I love golds, and he did excellent in that. Just another quick side note, Kim Boutin, she's another speed skater in short track. She's won 2 bronze. She should have won another one yesterday, but Canada got disqualified for God knows what reasons. I don't know. I don't pretend to know that I know that much. All I know is that because I'm Canadian, I'm just gonna say that it's rigged. Call me out for it, whether or not I'm right, I don't know. I highly doubt that there's many speed skating enthusiasts listening to this podcast, but if you are, feel free to call me out and say that I'm completely wrong, that's not rigged, and that Canada deserved to be disqualified. Moving on to long track speed skating. Now this is the big one. This is the 500. I believe it's a 500 meter track, might be 400 meters, just like a regular track. But you have Ted-Jan Blauman, who is actually a Dutch. He's a Dutch national whose father was born in Canada, so he was able to compete for Canada because the Dutch national team wouldn't let him on. Maybe he wasn't good enough, and he went to Canada in 2014, and the staff trained him enough, and he's won everything as a Canadian, which is incredible. And he won this gold, and he won a silver for us, beating out some of the best long track speed skaters out there. There is a veteran who has won everything but the 10K. That is the 10K. Wow, 10K. 10K skating. I can't even skate like 1K without dying, without sitting down. Anyways, and these guys are going so fast. These athletes are incredible. Olympians are nuts, except the one who kind of there's an American freestyle skier who's competing for Hungary. She found a loophole, and she literally went in the half pipe and just went up and down. She didn't do any trick, just to say that she was an Olympian. I think that's pretty funny. It's like an Eddie the Eagle story. But moving back to our champions, the gold from Ted-Jan Blauman, he has gotten kind of a lot of backlash, or not kind of, some backlash for competing as a Canadian, even though he wasn't really born in Canada. But I don't care. He has Canadian roots, and it's obvious that everything he's done of noteworthy in his career has been as a Canadian. So this is a Canadian gold. I don't care what anybody says, it's Canadian gold, and he earned it. It was a great race. I did watch the race, and it was a great race. We have another gold in bobsleigh. It's 2-man bobsleigh, and this is actually a really weird story, because the last time Canadians won in bobsleigh was, I believe, 1998, and we tied Italy for that. And this time we had some medal favorites going into it, and we tied again, and we tied Germany. So I don't know if fate's kind of just the Olympic gods are kind of just laughing at us, but it doesn't matter. We won the gold, and it was so cool to see. This is really encompass the Olympic spirit. When the Canadians crossed the line and the Germans realized that we had both won gold, they're jumping up and down. Both teams were hugging each other. Both teams were congratulating each other. I mean, you see this happen with any of the medals, the medal winners. They all congratulate each other. Even the people who are left off the podium, they all console each other or are happy for each other. And no matter what nation they are, even though they're technically competitors against each other, they're all Olympians. And you see the two-man team of Justin Cripps and Alexander Kopacz celebrating with the Germans, and they're both like, "Oh, we won gold. We both have worked so hard to get here." And I am also running out of time. I just checked my time. I'm running out of time. There's so much to talk about in the Olympics. I love them. But it was really cool to see them celebrate together, and it's really strange / cool to have a tie again, a tie for gold after the last time we won was a tie. Finally, our last gold is in mixed curling. This was really early in the tournament. I didn't get to see a single one of these guys' games, and that's Caitlin Laws and John Morris. So I really don't have much to say other than curling is actually cool. People make fun of curling, but curling is addictive. I stayed up every night since I've gotten home because we have cable, and I don't have cable back where I live for school. I stayed up every night watching curling, and I've gotten salty. I've gotten happy. I've gotten into it. I started screaming because of curling. Even though I really don't know all the rules of it, and I still don't know all the rules, and I really still don't know how it works. I don't really know what the brooms are for, but it's really cool. We won a gold in it. I'm not sure if this is actually the first year mixed doubles curling has been here, but I believe this is the first Canadian gold. I might be wrong. I could be wrong about this. I forget everything about the Winter Olympics after they're done, and I forget they exist for another 4 years, right? Anyways, that's my gold recap. I would love to go over all the medals, and I did touch on them a little bit, but I would love to go over all the medals, but I unfortunately don't have time. Tomorrow, that's Wednesday, we have the women's hockey gold medal game, Canada versus US, part 3. This is some bad blood, I think. Well, not bad blood, but it's been a rivalry, and Canada's come out on top 2 years in a row. Let's hope we can come out with a three-peat. But other than that, I'm gonna sign off for today. That's gonna be it for me. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have another episode on Sunday because I'm gonna be traveling again. I'm going to try to record one again at home, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes from here. But for now, if you've made it all this way through my incoherent Black Panther rambling and my Olympic gushing over Canadians, I want to thank you for making it all this way. If you guys want to check me out on Twitter, mchinquee_96 on Twitter, and then this podcast is available everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, whatever floats your boat, it's there. And yeah, until next week, I'll chat with you guys later.